Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I'm building a high-speed tactical King Arms PDW, all centered around a version 2 Valken V12 HPA engine. The version 2 V12s have binary trigger functionality, so I thought it would be appropriate to do an SMG style build to have the aesthetics match the performance of a high-speed, short, and tactical PDW. The King Arms PDW is rather unique because although it has the magazine and the switches of an MP5, all the internals are still standard M4 parts. That's why a Valken V12 can actually work for this build, as its standard version 2 gearbox specs. Knocking out the front body pin, the upper can now be removed. To remove the buffer tube, I removed the stock and the buffer tube end cap, revealing the standard buffer tube screw at the base of the tube. Carefully guiding the wires through, the buffer tube can now be pulled off of the receiver. Next, I'll be removing the pistol grip by removing the two outside screws to gain access to the motor. With the motor base plate removed, I can now unhook both wire connection points and pull the motor straight out. With the motor removed, I can now remove my entire grip by loosening the two screws at the base of the grip. When removing the grip, I like to keep these screws in the designated holes and set it aside. This just ensures that the screws are still in place when it's time to reinstall the grip later on. To get the magazine release off, it's a single hex screw that needs to be removed. All three pieces of the magazine release can now be removed and set aside. Lastly, there are two body pins that are still holding in the gearbox. Punching them both out from left to right will release the gearbox. The gearbox can now be pulled free and set aside. I need absolutely nothing from it going forward, although I do like that trigger and I will definitely hold on to these parts for future use. And now for dropping in the V12 engine itself. Placing it gently in the lower receiver, I guide the air hose and the wire harness through the proper slots, ensuring that nothing gets pinched or snagged. From here, it's basic reassembly of the lower receiver. I start with the rear body pin to hold the engine in place, and then I move on to the magazine release. Next up is the buffer tube assembly. To get the pre-existing buffer tube screw to work with my Valken V12, I needed to add a spacer for it to fit more securely. I used a threaded screw sleeve to slide down my screw, shortening the effective length of the buffer tube screw. I then guide the wires through the buffer tube and secure it onto the receiver loosely, not fully tightening it all the way just yet. Next up is the grip. The King Arms PDW stock grip is actually pretty sweet. It has modular panels allowing you to change the layout of the grip. I chose to remove the divider between my pointer and middle finger, as well as use the thicker grip panels as it just feels better to grip in my opinion. So with the screws still in the grip from before, it's as easy as guiding your air hose through the grip, sliding it down, and then tightening the set of screws. Once the pistol grip is on loosely, I then go back and forth, tightening down the buffer tube and the grip little by little to properly align the V12 engine and nozzle. I'll go into way more depth on nozzle alignment in a future video. So with the HPA engine inside the rifle, it's now time to change the look and the performance drastically. You may notice I have some Velcro panels along the V12 engine itself. Once again, it's for nozzle alignment. The Velcro simply acts as padding to push the nozzle into the correct location once the upper receiver is put back on. I plan to change out the entire front end of this gun, so I completely removed the plastic rail system, and with that gone, I can now remove the barrel nut and remove the barrel itself. I replaced the short stock outer barrel with a 7-inch outer barrel from 5KU. As always, all the parts that I used in this video can be found with links in the description below. For the rail system, I chose to go with the Lancer Tactical 7-inch Battlehawk rail system. This rail system really had that SMG aesthetic that I was going for, and it has plenty of cutouts to keep the build nice and light as this is a polymer gun. I added a keychain ring shim for a tighter fit and twisted the barrel nut on securely. From here, it's as simple as sliding the rail system on and securing it with the provided hardware. I noticed that once the rail system was on, my outer barrel did not line up where I needed it, so I simply added a 1-inch barrel extension to bring the outer barrel threads right to the edge of the rail system. For the optics on this build, I went with a SOTAC RMR sight. This was actually sent to me for a review, and it was one of the nicer free products that I got, and I thought this was a fitting opportunity to work it into a build. To get this RMR up and off my rail a bit, I used a UTG RMR sight riser. The sight fits perfectly in place on the riser, and then I fastened it onto my rail system. For the barrel setup, I'm using the Mastermod's RHOP setup that I was sent for testing from ICS Airsoft. For a more detailed look at the Mastermod's barrel setup, check out the full video in the link below. The kit being installed here is a 300mm 6.04 diameter barrel with the Acetech Studios RHOP arm installed inside a ProWin hop-up chamber. For the grip, I went with the BCM Gunfighter M-Lock grip. I just really like the short grip and the slight angle. These are one of my favorites, and I'm sure you've seen them on some of my prior builds. To both cover up the inner barrel and dull sound a bit, I'm using a Novrich modular suppressor. And lastly, I threw on a Novrich rifle flashlight. I was really happy with how this build came out. The two-tone gray and black looks sweet in my opinion, and the rifle performed really well. And you know my style, when I build a gun I also show you how it performs, so check out some footage of this rifle in action.
Coming right back ahead.
I got the guy shooting you, buddy.
Gun hit, gun hit.
So that's it for a tactical PDW build. Thanks for checking out the video, guys. As always, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.